Hello Canada, welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias Tagai. So we got a few things we're going to hit on here today. Going to dabble a little bit about some Canadians that got busted stealing a whole bunch of money from down in the States from senior citizens. Going to move on to Elizabeth May, the waste of skin, Mrs. Drunk May. Mrs. No Science May, I don't know what else to call her. A lot of people call her Socialist May, Fascist May, which we're going to see today in her press conference. Really bad, like going completely against democracy. Not surprised. We're going to dabble a little bit as well on some Trump tweets. We got some cop stuff that went on in Surrey and a few other things. Let's just kind of get right started here. We're going to start right off with these Canadians that were busted down in the States ripping off seniors. Unbelievable what people, like, man, some people are just so bad.
25 Canadians face charges linked to defrauding American retirees out of $21 million over a 3-year period in what authorities dub a grandparent scam. Law enforcement says the suspect sat in call centers in Montreal and targeted older Americans in an operation that had been active since 2021. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Vermont announced Tuesday the 25 Canadian nationals are charged with conspiring to defraud people across 45 states. Prosecutors say the call centers used in the scam were run by 5 Canadians who were charged with money laundering in addition to the conspiracy charge. 23 of the 25 people charged were arrested in Canada Tuesday, while 2 remain on the loose. Prosecutors say the defendants often used the grandparent scam to swindle money from their victims, telling grandparents their grandchild crashed their vehicle and was arrested, urging the victim to send thousands of dollars to bail their grandchild out. The scammers claim the case is under a gag order and tell the victims they're barred from telling anyone about their request for money. After the victims sent the money through various methods, the money was wired to Canada, with some transactions coming through cryptocurrency, according to authorities. If convicted, the 5 alleged managers of the call center face up to 40 years in prison, while the other defendants could be sentenced to up to 20 years behind bars. The FBI warns scams targeting grandparents are common. The head of the IRS Criminal Investigation Division says the defendants are part of a, quote, transnational criminal enterprise with the sole intent of defrauding hundreds of retirees of their life savings by preying on their emotions. For more
Craziness. Some people are just absolutely insane. Moving on, we're going to talk about this Trump tweet. This is kind of funny. Justin Trudeau of Canada called to ask me what could be done about the tariffs. I told him that many people have died from fentanyl that came through the borders of Canada and Mexico, and nothing has convinced me that it has stopped. He said that it's gotten better, but I said that's not good enough. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner. He was unable to tell me when the Canadian election is taking place, which made me curious, like, what's going on here? I then realized he is trying to use this issue to stay in power. Good luck, Justin. Yeah, I ended up putting another tweet out as well shortly after this saying how the tariffs and the drugs and everything are all on him and his party. So quite hilarious. So nice to see. Yeah. Trump. We're going to move on to Elizabeth May. Oh, Elizabeth May. This lady. I tell you, anti-science May. Drunk May. Yeah, we'll get started and I'll just kind of tear it apart because what she says is, I don't want you to watch the whole thing. It's just a waste of time, but we'll just take a few pieces of it and go from there.
We have been in conversation with different levels of insiders within the Liberal Party, the New Democratic Party. We've talked to colleagues in Parliament. What kind of interest would there be in listening to the voices of Canadians, like the grassroots group that has sprung up of Cooperate for Canada?
All right, I'm going to show you their site here in a minute. This grassroots that just sprung up, and it's like, whoa, this group. Yeah.
Who want to see parties sit down and talk to each other about how we can potentially cooperate across this country and be able to have that common resolve that survives an election. Be able to envision a parliament that functions well together, taking on the threats that Canada faces. To do that, we wanted to make this press conference today a public commitment to being willing to talk to the other parties, to talk about what it takes in a perverse first-past-the-post voting system to remind Canadians that we don't elect a prime minister in this country. We elect a parliament. There are currently 5 parties in the House of Commons, and if we were to find a way to cooperate, we could ensure at least that neither one of the big parties gets a false majority with 100% of the power with less than 50% of public support. There are many examples in past history of Canada, but the main thing is we won't get cooperation if we don't even sit down to talk about it. Et maintenant, je donne la parole.
So this press conference, what she's trying to get at is, and she started off a little bit earlier how she's saying, well, it's not really illegal, what they're doing and blah, blah. It's completely anti-democratic. So what she's trying to do is she's trying to allow all the parties to remain their parties, but yet do what they've done before in the past, which is if their party looks like it's going to be splitting the vote in an area, they negotiate with that party. And then if that party will take one of their representatives out of a seat to allow a Green Party to win, they'll take one of their Green Party out to allow the NDP or the Liberal to win. This is cheating. I don't care. This is anti-democratic. It's dirty, dirty politics. And we got to make laws to stop this. Because this is crazy. She's worried because the polls are lying. They're going to get decimated in the polls, like they're in the election. Decimated, which thank God, because her party is just like the Liberal NDP. They need to be completely revamped. She needs to get out of there. Socialist May, gotta go. And she keeps talking like this is all democracy, but yet she doesn't invite the Conservatives. She says, well, we would if they would discuss this. You listen to how she talks. And now let's talk about this grassroots that's sprung up and this is the grassroots she's talking about. Cooperate for Canada. 69 followers. This is the site. It's all NDP and Liberals. All of it. And fake news. These little Trump posts on here. And then stuff like this. They congratulate the voters. And then there's a whole pile of these. There's some fake news. Here. Vote splitting. So they lost. Because of vote splitting. They're starting this campaign. This is dirty. This is like the dirty ads that are run by the Liberal NDPs. But they're not saying that it's Liberal NDPs. They're just a concerned group of Canadian citizens. When it's actually all NDP staff and Liberal staff that's doing it. It's a lie. It's a blatant lie. And the fact that they're using government money to do it is even worse. It's money laundering. Evil. That's what these people are. Fascists. And they keep saying how, Conservatives are fascists. Right. For wanting free speech, for wanting democracy, for wanting, my right to have a gun, my right to have my own land, my right to parent, etc., etc. This is the site. 69 followers. And look at this. That's it. This is it. It's a sham. She's trying to build support on this. It's a crock of crap. We're going to move a little bit later on to her interview.
So to the list of parties that describe themselves and that generally are seen in the media as progressives, let's just also say it would help for cooperation to have fair elections before the next election if the Conservatives wanted to sit down with all the other parties as well and renounce smear-based attack ads.
Do you see what she did? Now she's blaming the Conservatives for smear campaign ads. Yet their campaign ads are done all legal. All of it's legal. And they're responsible for everything they say. So they have to be truthful or they can be sued. They're 100% factual. Whereas the actual ad scam that's going on that I busted, and then another guy actually found the finances for, these are what she's not talking about. This is socialist fascism. Totally. The Liberal Party is not what it used to be. I can't wait until it gets decimated so they can fix themselves up again, because, you know, they actually had a place in Canada, but they are so far left. And like I said, the Conservatives are small Liberals, small C Conservatives. They voted on a lot of very progressive things. They're not a true Conservative Party. But these guys want us to go even further left and further left. In another 20 years, if we keep this up, the Conservatives will end up being an NDP party, and the rest are going to be full Stalin, because they're already headed there with what they're doing to our rights. This is embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. She should be embarrassed of herself. Go to the bar, get drunk again. You're much funnier when you're drunk. When you're sober, you're just a bag.
Renounce the use of negative algorithms to motivate people into fear-based voting.
Which is what the NDP did. They're running bots. And right now, with the Mark Carney, I keep going on all different type of social media when I have a spare time, and I scroll through it while I'm listening to something that's going on, and I point out the bots, and I mark them out, and I go, bot, and I scroll, and I look at who they are. Oh, bot. And funny thing, I always find them, they're always Liberal or NDP. They're always against Conservatives. They're always against Trump. They're always against Millet. They're always against the people who are fighting for democracy, fighting for freedom.
And rage farming based voting based on misinformation.
Like the site she just told me about. Yeah, told us all about. Right.
Madam Justice Hogue said the single biggest threat to Canadian democracy comes from disinformation on social media.
And everybody knows about Hogue. Everything she said was a blatant lie. She completely misrepresented all the information, which was all later on found that she was full of crap. And that pretty much everything Trudeau said was a lie. Trudeau lied through his teeth the whole way. In fact, every single Liberal MP that got up there lied through their teeth. And you have the ousted Michael Young, who actually proved that point. But again, she's lying. She's trying to convince people. Propaganda. And if her party can't win, she'll be damned if the Conservatives can. So she's going to try and hook up with any other party. Well, the good news is, which we'll find out later on, none of them want her.
That's something in the hands of every party to decide they could renounce. So while it's generally seen, and I think it's a common wisdom, that if we're going to see a parliament that cooperates well together, it will be a minority parliament. And it will be a minority parliament where Liberals, Greens, NDP, and Bloc have the majority of the seats, but not any one party able to form a majority government.
She gave it away right there. Where's the Conservatives? They don't get a vote? So Conservative Canadians don't get a vote? They don't matter? Interesting. That sounds fascist.
That will instill in our parliament a spirit of cooperation.
Yeah, it's about enough of that. We're going to move on to the end of this here. I just got a kick out of how and by the way, only one guy's there. I couldn't see the camera. Only one guy, the same guy, Mark somebody, was the only guy asking questions. He got, I think, 3 questions in. 3.
Any more questions?
I'm just curious, what I guess leverage do you think you have just having 2 seats in Parliament, especially now as opposed to
Look
2
at
months
Nate's
ago?
face.
Like the Liberals are now very competitive again. They could even be looking at a majority government if you believe recent polls. The Bloc's doing well in Quebec. The NDP just spent, a few years with significant power in a minority parliament. So why do you think they would be open, when
I think May just shat herself. Yeah, look at her. I just shat myself.
the current system could work fine for them? It's you who,
Yeah, but
might
it
be at
doesn't
risk.
work well for Canadians, right?
That's their point. It doesn't work well. It doesn't work well for Canadians, or it doesn't work well for your party, who's going to get annihilated, going to get swept right off of Canada. Thank God.
Clearly, Canadians are showing they're showing growing disinterest and growing mistrust towards our institutions right now. And part of the reason for that is that roughly 60% of us, when we go out to vote, our votes don't count for anything. There are hundreds of thousands of Canadians that vote Green throughout the country.
Like everybody in Canada except for Southern Ontario and Quebec, who pretty much control Canada's votes. and then of course the East Coast or the West Coast. So welcome to the show, buddy. Wake up. And the distrust has nothing to do with the fact that the votes aren't counting. The mistrust is that we've watched, especially this last 9 years, of a party completely destroy our country. And we tried to vote him out 2 times. And both times, we know something fishy was going on. We saw the attack ads, and now that was proven. And the same guys that were attacking O'Toole and attacking Scheer, even though they changed the company name, was the same group of people. I debunked that. I busted that. These people are insane. They're completely cuckoo. Moving on. This is Nikki Ashton. Oh my God. I have a feeling she's going to lose her seat this year. Looking at the polls, it's not looking good, which thank God, because really, Northern Manitoba, you can do so much better. You can do so much better. I've only seen her ever ask one question. One. And like I said, I watch Parliament. I watch the committees. I watch everything. Once she asked a question that I actually was on the edge of my seat and I was mad at. And she asked at committee, why aren't we exposing all of the Nazis that Canada came over and hid? Nobody would pass the motion to have a vote on it. They kept trying to cut her off. She did it, I think, 3 times at committees, trying to get that in. Nobody. Not a Conservative, not an NDPer, nobody. Useless. Those people need to be exposed. They need to pay for what they did. Justice has to be done. I don't care if they're 98 years old. They've lived a very nice life on our tax dollars, hiding in the corners and the shadows, teaching who knows what to other people. Bullcrap. And anything that we gave to them should be removed. Right, Christia? Listen carefully to what she says. This is good. She actually busts Brookfield. So twice in her entire career, I'm actually impressed.
Which brings me to Mark Carney and Brookfield Asset Management, the person who has been touted as having the solutions to our economic challenges. And yet Mark Carney is very much the poster person for the broken system, the hollowing out of Canada that has made us so vulnerable today. Mark Carney has a clear track record of pushing for wealth accumulation for the rich at the expense of workers and Canadian communities. A 2023 report from the Centre for International Corporate Tax Accountability and Research called Brookfield Canada's top tax dodger. In 2021, Brookfield Asset Management dodged a jaw-dropping $6.5 billion all on its own, according to Canadians for Tax Fairness. In 2021 alone, Canada lost $30 billion in corporate tax revenue to offshore havens.
Now, previous episodes, on a few of them, I've listed off. The Seagram family. They laundered a pile of money. They're one of the backers that got Trudeau into power in the first place. There's a few of these people out there, and for some reason, they're always tied to either the Liberals, the WEF, Davos, right? That whole agenda. Psychos. These people are psychopaths. They don't care about other people. They'll do whatever it takes. They don't care who they hurt. They'll do anything for money and power. It's about enough of you, Ashton. That's about all the second smartest thing you've ever said. This is quite interesting. This is happened in Surrey. And I've watched the video a few times. It looks like it was the chick cop here. She nails the guy. I wonder. Well, I'll let you watch the video and then and then we'll go over it. It's funny though. Supposedly this guy had a gun or was threatening to harm people or something like that. I looked it up and I couldn't find the story on it. So all we really got is the video and what the person posted. But yeah, watch. It's good. Oh, I think she was aiming for his gonads. You can go get him anytime there, people. Come on. I think he's down. Too funny. Absolutely too funny. Another day in Canada. Oh my lord. Well, you guys, hope you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if you are, punch that notification bell so that you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time, you've been watching the Canadian Citizen Journal, and I'm your host, Alias to Guy.